I'm here because I am the head of MDRT for Europe and for the former USSR. And if you're wondering what MDRT is and why we define ourselves as the premier association of financial professionals, it is because, unlike all other associations that you may know, it's not actually enough to pay your dues to become a member of MDRT. You have to qualify for it. And the way that you qualify for it, so this is our value proposition towards increased productivity, is based on how much you sell, either by commission or by premium. It's new business only, and it has to be done year after year. So MDRT has been the benchmark right now in the industry for professionalism. We're a professional society that provides the members with continuing education and professional development for quality, for excellence, and for ethics. We're very big on ethics because if we see ourselves as the Olympics of financial services, what better place than this? You know, the home country, the birthplace of the Olympics, to actually talk about MDRT as the Olympics of financial services, because the financial athletes have to qualify for it year after year. We're also very big against anti-doping. So we have an ethical committee. There were members that in the past were fined or radiated because they were not behaving in an ethical way. As you can see right here, right now we have about 40,000 members in 85 countries. And the reason why we can claim that we really are the premier association of financial professionals is because our requirements to be able to join MDRT are indexed. We work with the World Bank to make sure that by indexing the requirements, at the end of the day, if our members are the top 5% of the market in Greece, then the top 5% of the market in Greece will be the equivalent of the top 5% in Argentina or in South Africa or in Italy or anywhere else we have members throughout the world. So if you wonder what it means to be a member of MDRT in Greece, there it is. This is how much you need to make. That's how much you need to produce in 2009 based only on new business. Those are thousands of euros right there. That's new business only individual production for you to be able to join MDRT in 2010. And as you can see, we have 3 levels of membership, what we call qualify or basic membership, court of the table membership, which is 3 times the production of the basic, and top of the table, which is 6 times the production. So to put it in another way, to put things in perspective, if this is the top 5% of the market in Greece, they can qualify either by using commission or by using premium. This is the top 1% of the market in Greece and in all of the other countries where we have members. And last year we had about 1,800 top of the table, 1800, top of the table members all over the world. Another way to look at it, these are our statistics that we produced together with our sister association called LIMBRA. Most of you, just being company executives, I'm quite sure you're familiar with it. So as you can see there, those are the average commissions for the MDRT member, and I think that the numbers are quite self-explanatory. I don't need to really go over them other than the translation for some of you from English to Greece to show exactly what it means to be an MDRT member. Now, MDRT also works with national associations. So because of the fact that we are a global organization, but we also want to be regional and we want to be European, we have partnerships with national associations of insurance intermediaries. So in the case of Greece, we work very actively with EPSAS, as you can see over there. The evolution of MDRT. MDRT is an acronym that stands for $1 Million Round Table. It is called that way because, as you can see right here, it was funded by the first 32 agents of the day, the first 32 producers that sold, this is back in 1927, the equivalent of $1 million of life insurance. And as you can see now, that's gone from 32 in 1927 to more than 35,000 this year. We were down by about 5,000 because of the economic downturn. And all of this is based on a very simple principle. As I said, MDRT was founded in 1927. 2 years before then, Joe, you will like this, G.B. Shaw, Irishman, just like you, that won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1925, said something very simple. He said that if I go to a meeting and someone else comes to a meeting, it's a very simple but very powerful principle, and I bring an apple or I bring a bottle of water, and that person also does that, and we exchange them, then I would go home with one, and the other person will also go home with one. But if I bring a sales idea or a marketing idea and we exchange them, or a practice management idea, then both of us will go home with two. Now, very simple, not easy because of the enmity and the competition in the market, but at the same time, very powerful and long-lasting from the point, and you've seen the numbers, that we have gone from 32 members to 40,000 members now doing this. So where I am from, we have a way of saying that says that mathematics is not an opinion. Most of you will probably agree with it. So if we went from 32 to 40,000, then that's a hell of a lot of intellectual property that we create and we also exchange. And what also makes it unique is that the members of the associations are the sellers that are exchanging, as Dinos Kyriakou is doing in this room right now with the MDRT seminar. They're exchanging sales ideas from the sales point of view with other salespeople to the benefit of them and to the benefit of the MDRT members. And if you think that all of this sounds like beautiful poetry because, the competition is out there, it's at the end of the street, is the next agent, is the next branch. Let me just tell you that, and I think that Joe's presentation this morning exemplified that pretty well, that our belief at MDRT is that in our business, because we were an industry, we're trying to become a business, and then the next step will be to become a profession. So our belief is that in our business, there are only three competitors. These are what we refer to in English as the 3 Ds. D as in Delta for the translators up there. Death, disability, and disease. And our belief is that as long as we get to our customer or our prospects before any of the 3 Ds do, then we should not worry about any other type of competition. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we've been exchanging all these sales ideas without any strings attached, as they say in the US, without any political agenda other than make the life of the members better by furnishing them, by providing them with professional education and continuing development. So MDRT is all about an alignment of interest at the end of the day. As I said, it's not easy, but it's very simple. This is the situation in many countries today. Perhaps it's the situation in Greece. Greece is a mid-market if you're looking at the level of development. But as we've learned from Joe today, we're moving from the information age to the conceptual age. So it's not because information is ubiquitous, it's everywhere. It's not about anymore holding on to the information in a secretive way, but it's about generating concepts and concepts that are transferable and applicable. And one of the concepts that I have to share with you so that it's not anymore the insurer, the company pushing that product onto the intermediary, which will in turn push that product onto the customer. The kind of evolution that we need to make, the kind of, is that the work that I can best represent that just by telling you that you should tell your sales force that they should change the way that they're now playing the tennis game. Let me explain this. The situation in many countries across the world today is such that if this is a metaphorical tennis net right there, on one side of the net, you have the salesperson, the agent, the product pusher, and on the other side of the net, you have the customer and their problem. And sometimes, it's so much the customer problem, and this is very relevant, especially right now, because don't let anyone fool you into thinking that this is a technical crisis. If there's one thing that you should remember from today is that this is not a technical crisis. There is nothing absolutely technical about the crisis. You know why? Because the companies can still issue the policies, right? The underwriting department can still underwrite them, and yet the customers are not walking into the door. And the reason why they're not walking into the door, because the relationship building, because this business is not about closing the deal, it's about opening the relationship, not closing the deal, but opening the relationship first and foremost, it's because they feel exactly that way. They feel that you're on one side, that the salesperson is on one side of the net, and they're on that side of the net together with their problem. So what we need to do, what you need to tell your sales force to do, is to change the way they play their tennis game. they should do that. Just like the doctor does, doctor being a professional, if you go to the doctor and you say, doctor, I have a pneumonia, the doctor doesn't say, oh, that's your problem. So that sometimes you feel that it's so much your problem that you end up not buying enough or not buying at all. So they should take the customer on the same side of the net with them and take on the problem together. That is why we're the premier association of financial professionals, not of agents, not of product pushers. So we don't talk about what the product, we don't talk about the product, but we talk about what the product does. So this is the way that we see it in terms of evolution of the market. We're also very aware that we're dealing here in Europe with the largest, most diverse, and most sophisticated financial services market in the world. Let alone the biggest one right now, it stretches all the way from Reykjavik to Vladivostok across 13 time zones. So we opened an office in Brussels in 2005. We also have an office in Chicago, which is the headquarters, and we have an office in Asia Pacific, in Singapore for Asia Pacific. And most of the work that we do, we partner with the companies. I think it's pretty exemplified by the fact that we're amongst the honorary sponsors of the conference today. And together we develop local language benefits. I know it's funny to think of a language like Russian, 11 time zones, as a local language. But the point here is that we understood that in order for us to be successful in Europe, there is no such thing as Europe. You need to be Greek to the Greek, Italian to the Italian, French to the French, German to the German, and so on and so forth. So some of the activities that we do, okay, we work with companies. We ask them, for example, to position the MDRT meetings as an incentive, because the MDRT meeting is a mix of education and entertainment. These are sales ideas that you're learning directly from the best salespeople in the business. So it's not only about sending agents somewhere, say in Mykonos, for a week, having a lot of fun, but not really learning at the end of the day. It's about knowing that, first and foremost, the only competitors are the 3Ds, and so investing in them. And it can also be an initiative that can be taken from the point of view of CSR, because there is a lot of emphasis today on how this conference has been done following CSR. Well, think of MDRT and working with an association also as a CSR initiative. As a matter of fact, as I was telling Konstantinos Ozunis here last night at dinner, there were already a few companies throughout Europe that actually are cooperating with MDRT and included MDRT in their annual report. And they talked of cooperating with MDRT as a CSR initiative as an improver of human condition. Or to make it very simple for you, the fact that you're working with MDRT means that you can take care of the people that sell for you, that sell for the company. And I don't know how many others, given the magnitude, the scale, the history, and the prestige of MDRT, can possibly claim the same, can probably claim the same thing. Activities that we do, you're all invited to our next MDRT Day. It's our National Sales Day. It's going to take place on the 3rd of March, free, at the Hilton Athens, always successfully put together and assembled by our volunteer leadership team. And I'd like also to tell you that we work, since 80% of our work in Brussels is corporate relations, so we're also willing to work with the companies and establish and organize these sales ideas seminars, so that may be interesting for you as well. And then I'd like to tell you about the fact that since we are the benchmark in the industry, indeed we have a global company ranking. And we rank the companies as based on how members they have in MDRT, as based also on the involvement. And if you go on our website, you will be able to find that. And I think it is no coincidence that some of the biggest and prestigious companies, some of the ones that have fared really well during the crisis, not only they did not lose money, I can think of 2 of them, especially for Europe, are also amongst the big supporters of MDRT. So it's a very foresighted approach. Here's our team for Greece. Speaking of corporate relations, as you can see, we have cooperation with quite a few companies already. Right now, vis-a-vis the market share, we're covering already more than 50% of it. So, and these companies are companies that not only send their agents or their advisors to the MDRT meetings, okay, but they also sponsor the MDRT meetings and they promote MDRT as an incentive. So as you can see, we have a country chair and we also have company chairs for the different companies and presence on capillarity on the territory. This is our team, the one for this year. Actually, photo taken last night here over at the Intercontinental. And there was an ad in NAFTA Empori Key that talked about the importance of being an MDRT member and what the MDRT members do for the clients and their different approach. And this, correct me if I'm wrong, was published a couple of weeks ago or last week on the NAFTA Empori Key. And as we develop our activities and our initiatives more and more in Europe, because our goal is to be able to bring our annual meeting, 8,000 people, 4 days, 65 countries represented, 85 speakers over 4 days. Now, that is a lot of education. Our dream is to be able to bring that, okay, to Europe and rephrase that meeting, and instead of having a 4-day meeting, have a 2-day MDRT experience. And guess what? The reason why we're here is because the news that we have to share with you, which, by the way, we shared already with all of the media a couple of months ago through different press conferences, but I'd like to be able to share that with you again, is that in 2011, in February of 2011, we're going to have our first ever MDRT meeting in Europe, and this meeting will take place at the Megaron Musikis. They will probably be preceded by a welcome reception at the Acropolis Museums. And these are some of the speakers. I trust that the ladies would know that, would know the one over there, I guess. The guys would probably know the one over here much better. So these are some, yeah. These are some of the speakers that we have contacted already, and we're planning to bring them to the first ever MDRT meeting in Athens. So the value proposition, I know Konstantinos has been looking at me like, you only have these minutes and this minute, so keep it as short as you can. It's as simple as that. MDRT membership equals higher productivity, which equals in turn MDRT membership at a higher level. So I'd like to thank you. And just to build up on what Joe has said and keep the energy and the enthusiasm in the room, this is a chart that shows the financial markets in the United States of America in the 20th century. So remember, stop listening to the hypnosis as opposed to hypnosis. Okay, forget about CNN, constant negative news. And if you look at the chart of the 20th century, this right here is the Great Depression. Thank you. Aristopoli.